Good.
Yeah.
You could tell the good temperatures settling in, and we're all like more.
We're brighter. The grays and the blacks.
Yes, like
take a little vacation today. Until it gets hot. I feel like once it gets a certain level hot, the black is back. But for springtime, I hesitate with black. Although I think last time
I don't like wearing black in summer.
Ever?
Rarely.
At night?
Maybe, but I because I wear black a lot in winters. I prefer to move to the colors that I don't wear usually in the winter.
Yeah, true. I hear that. I hear that. But it's hard. I don't have. Anyway, we're not. This became a fashion podcast.
I have an interesting topic I thought about because we were talking about that just before while we're setting up, and I don't know. You'll tell me if it's too in depth, but we can give it a shot.
No such thing.
Which one?
Well, I'm curious to see what do you guys like. What is your perspective? What is your belief system regarding reincarnation?
Oh gosh.
Because we're talking about it, and I think it's interesting because I'm sure everybody has different beliefs and perspective coming from different backgrounds. Obviously,
on the fence.
You're on the fence.
I'm on the fence, but I don't know. It's like since I started doing mushrooms, I don't know what to think anymore.
That's fair. Okay, but walk us through your story.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share.
Yeah.
I was raised.
No.
Please take a number.
Ask the question.
But no, you're not.
Yes.
See, I want to be small, even though I want to be
want
big.
to live only once.
No, I was raised Muslim,
right?
And I was Muslim. Like I used to pray, and I went to I did the pilgrimage and all this stuff, and then I became an atheist. Like everything I believed, I was like, no, it doesn't make sense.
Give us some times. Like, how old were you? How old are you went to Mecca?
I was 23.
So an adult. It wasn't just like going along as a kid.
No.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
it was a beautiful experience.
Yes, I'm sure.
I felt like you and your mic today.
You guys are sabotaging me.
I don't know what's happening, but it feels
weirdly
weirdly long.
It up? Is it wobbly or?
I don't know. Keep talking. Ignore me.
And I used to pray, and I used to, but something deep inside of me was kind of pulling me that this is not, like, I was battling with the religions even when I was young because I wanted to do stuff, but it was forbidden, and I would feel guilty for doing them.
Correct.
You know, like everything is like, you're gonna go to hell, blah, 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 all this guilt and fear. So when I came here, I was 24. I came to Montreal, and I started like looking at society from Saudi Arabia.
From Saudi.
The heart of Islam, you know? The beginning, like the core and the origin. Anyway, so I came here, and my brain was like, no, you cannot live in fear and guilt like that. So I'm like, I'm done with religion. I'm not gonna do that again. So I stopped like fasting in Ramadan. I stopped praying. Even my son, I raised him.
This is like every Islamic mother's fear. You go to Canada and you immediately like turn your back on everything. This is like
you let go of everything.
Yeah. And my mom was like, you why did you stop praying? You used to be such a good girl, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, mom. Anyway, and the more
your husband at the time, where was he on that? Was he on board with you to kind of strip these things, or was he staying devout?
He doesn't have any saying in this stuff. Like he was like. Cool.
There was no friction there.
No,
with him.
nothing.
There's no opposition.
No. He used to do Ramadan, and I would prepare food for him, and but he didn't care.
Go out dancing.
Even like with my first son, I raised him like no religion at all, and my ex-husband was fine. He didn't tell me, no, you should do that. No, he hadn't. He was never involved. You know that.
Did he try to do things with your kids that were
religion?
More traditional in that way.
Very religious person himself.
Okay,
you know.
So that probably.
Yeah, the only thing he did is Ramadan.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a tradition more than and it's like a cultural
it sounds like as much as cultural as it is.
And because he knows a lot of people from his culture, our culture and stuff. So we used to do it. But anyway, so just now, like, I'm starting to take mushrooms and I'm receiving all these messages.
Full downloads.
Oh my God, it's just crazy. Like,
okay, so throughout this
I don't want to
period,
sound like a lunatic, but I'm just like, I don't know what to think anymore.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah, that's the beginning of a lot. But backing up a little bit, so where were you regarding reincarnation?
Oh, I never believed in it. Like,
when you were like fully into Islam.
I'm a hardcore atheist. Like, nothing before, nothing after. Like, we come, it's just science. Like, you come,
what does Islam teach about reincarnation, if anything?
Well, we
afterlife?
believe in afterlife.
So that's a form of reincarnation, no?
Yeah, it's like, but there's gonna be a judgment day. Everybody's gonna be like resurrected. Like, our souls are gonna be resurrected, and then we're gonna stand before God, and He will judge you.
But just on that one lifetime.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, and you have like angels that write everything that you've done.
Tattletales.
And then like, they come and they say like, this is what the good things and the bad things they've done. And then you go to hell or heaven, depend on what.
Every time I pick my nose.
And the balance, if the balance,
Yes.
the good weighs more than the bad, like something like that.
Okay, so that lines up kind of with basic Christianity as well. Like, you live the one life.
Yeah.
At the end, if there's a thing, but then it's just eternal heaven or hell. Okay.
Eternal. Which didn't make sense to me. Like, how can we be eternally punished for a lifetime of good or bad,
Right.
So it didn't make sense. Anyway, so after that, I was like, just science, like nothing more than that. Like, we die and it's just, we're done, and that's it. Like, I couldn't believe any of nothing made sense to me. Like, why? I didn't believe in the soul. Yeah, and people who talk about like near-death experience, I tried to go and read about the science explanation of it.
Yes.
And some scientific people, they explain it. And that's why I'm like, I always looked at the logical explanation. But we know.
So in your research, was there anything that seemed compelling to you, or was it all pretty dismissible? In your atheist agnostic mindset, was there anything that the science was pointing to where you're like, oh, maybe there's something to this, that kind of left you more open-minded to it? Or even after reviewing?
No.
You're kind of...
I was kind of like, my mind is made up. I'm like, everything else is cuckoo to me. Just people like who are tree huggers.
Those tree huggers.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Like, every time I read something, my eyes are rolling. Like, my eyes are rolling 360.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh God,
Yeah,
here
when
we
I
go.
first met her, I would say things from time to time, and our friendship was such, even from the beginning, like, it was fine.
Yeah.
But I could tell, I was like, oh, this again.
This lady.
Or sometimes like you said, like an article, and I'm like,
You cringe.
what am I gonna say? I love you so much, but I don't know. I don't know
about this. Yeah, that's a lot of people's reaction about me too.
That's totally where I've been.
Yeah.
I've absolutely been in that space. And to answer your question, I have no doubt in reincarnation. It's absolutely a real thing, and it makes perfect sense.
But has it always been that way for you?
No. That's
so.
new.
What's your past? Well,
It's a lot similar. I grew up in a traditional mainstream religion, and I was fully on board. But there were things that just didn't make sense to me. That it was just like, this doesn't feel right. Yeah. Rebelled against. Well, I left. I grew up in the cult, and then I left. And even I still believed that if I died, I was going to go to hell. And I still believed in it, but it was still. I guess I must not have fully believed that, because I would have, leaving. But I guess it was worth the risk, right? So, and then I hook up with someone who strongly identifies as agnostic atheist, and he started pushing and getting me to question things. And so it wasn't long before I was like, okay, yeah. And I was very impressionable, and a lot of it is my people pleasing things. I'll just kind of get along to get along, go along to get along. Like, I don't want to I hate confrontation. So yeah. I was like in that state of mind for 25 years?
Right.
20, whatever. But then 3 years ago, that all changed.
Okay.
But before that, I met someone, I have a friend who's a bit on the woo side of things, and she would tell stories, and I would be like you, like, oh, okay, but I would listen, and she'd talk about like spirits in houses, and like she had a story where a guy had committed suicide, and she was certain she had felt his energy in the house or whatever, and it was a compelling story. So I was open-minded enough to at least listen, and she had studied Reiki, and so I was open to getting treatment. So I understood but I was open enough to not fully reject it, but I didn't know anything about it, but I wasn't pushing it away.
Okay.
And then in my divorce, that really cracked me open when everything just kept lining up for me, and it was way more than coincidence that things were lining up for me. And so, and then psychedelics was like,
mushrooms.
Yeah. So now, and then a profound experience in 2021 got me to start reading things, and I was just profusely reading and learning, and now my understanding of, we all have a soul. That soul never dies, and we bring into each lifetime experiences from past lifetimes. And it's a gift to not remember those past lifetimes, because there's thousands of them. Times where you've been murdered, times where you were the one murdering. Like, who wants to remember those details, right? And that's why I think when you can look around and you can see some people are more advanced consciously than others, right? Some have had kids. More times around than others. It's just like when you walk into a school, you're going to see sophomores and juniors are acting differently than fourth graders or third graders. It's just you're just different paths, and there's no wrong place to be. There's nothing wrong with being in third grade. No. It's not a bad thing. It's just you just haven't had the experience of a senior. That's all. So and I fully, like, when I read about the Akashic records and all this stuff, like, that makes a lot of sense to me. And teachers and channelings that really resonate with me talk very clearly and very detailed about Akashic records. Yes. So that resonates very deeply. So I'm right now, I don't spend a lot of time logically understanding. Yeah. Because there's too many unknown. Like, I think that's my advice to anyone right now. Is like, there's everything we've been told is probably false. Like, there's very few little truth. Don't waste a lot of your energy trying to know exactly, like, who was this at this time or what, like, 'cause that, like, it can be very deceiving, and the person providing that information could feel like they're credible, and then 2 weeks later we can find that they weren't, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just, don't get too invested in one narrative, because it's not going to be very long before it's all going to be clear to us. It's all going to make sense. Yes. And so when I see these people online, and even people in my own life, like, just logically wanting to, like, understand, and they really put so much energy into understanding here, at the same time then avoiding the things that, from my perspective, are much more important, and like the work you've been doing recently of cleaning out what's going on here, and like getting that shadow filtered, like getting that straightened up, because once that's clear, like, once you said, like, you were like clear glass, and you've got that all cleaned up, once that's there, this doesn't matter anymore. There's just a feeling like, whatever it is, I'm gonna be fine, it's all okay. I'm a soul that was never born and will never die in this lifetime, this finite space. Yes, this body will die someday, and that's totally fine. I don't have, so that's a rundown of where I'm at. How about you?
Amazing. Yes. Yeah, so this was, it intrigued me, right? Because, well, I'm that, like, woohoo person you guys were very much annoyed at.
No, we're not. I'm not annoyed at
But not anymore. But
I've never been annoyed at you, because I think when I met you, I was already in the process.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, as a typical thing, because I grew up in a Christian environment, but it was more the Christian, like, as an identity rather than like an education, because we only went to church, like, Christmas, Easter.
Oh, even as a family.
Yeah. No,
so
I was not
casually Christian.
Casually Christian. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a line of clothing.
Yeah, casually Christian. So that's what. Yeah, that's totally.
Show up to church
Yeah.
twice a year.
You're casually Christian. So that was the vibe, definitely. And I was very much, I think, in communication very early on as a child. But never realizing fully or making a big deal about it. And honestly, I guess, yes, of course, I believe in reincarnation, but I guess I've always had those beliefs, and like channelings and all that. I started reading books about that. I was in my teenage years, so by my early 20s, I was drinking like ayahuasca already, and like my brain like opened, my consciousness traveled all over the place. But I think it takes maturity, or else it could be pretty difficult to navigate. Opening up so much and having like this, like, oh my God, like I'm one with the universe.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but like once you have to deal with being a young human, young mother, the reality of life and what the shadow work that actually needs to be done before being able to really enjoy that energy and that connection, because you need to be grounded for it to fully funnel well, I believe, in the body. So like even knowing the things on an intellectual level, exactly, like having this information and this hunger, to know, to learn more, to just like I would swallow, like
couldn't get enough.
And it's isolating because back then, like, I'm taking you guys back like 20 years, there was zero person to talk to. Like there was nobody,
So what did you do? Okay, so you were young, and you said even at a young age you were getting.
I would, but like I'd keep them for myself.
Did you have any idea that no one else was also getting messages, or you just assumed that was happening to everyone?
I just assumed that I was just better at talking to myself, type of thing,
But you never told your parents or your siblings any of it?
It wasn't really weird.
Yeah.
I have a very intuitive, a mother that was very esoteric, like into esotericism and like.
And you couldn't ever talk to her about stuff?
Well, no, because she was also very depressed and very like all her energy was managing herself. So I didn't feel like I wanted, I had the space. Plus, by the time I was a teenager, I was just all about like, teenager stuff. So those kind of like
did it ebb and flow like as a teenager?
Yes. So as a teenager, I was like, As a teenager, I was into my boyfriend. I was into being like,
I think the hormones take over.
Exactly, I believe so.
You're not gonna sit and be mystical when you're 15.
And nobody was having spiritual or awakened or like, any of these conversations like at 16, 17, 18.
Now, we talk about boys. That's all we did.
That's all we talked about. It was boys, our relationships, where we want to party.
Failing the Bechdel test.
No, I mean, for a few years, that's all it was. But then early 20s, it hit me again. Like,
do you remember, was it a specific event or what happened?
I think it was, it was sitting with my girlfriends, and they're just over it, like, and feeling like, oh my God, like, we only talk about boys. We only talk about fucking relationships. And he said this, and what do you think it means? And I felt this like boiling inside of me. And then it was like no, I don't want this. Like I want to talk about deeper stuff. I want to talk about the meaning of life. I want to talk about like, what are we doing here? Like, what's your soul's purpose? Like, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What is life? Like reincarnation? Like, what do you guys think? Like nobody was interested. Like nobody.
Your birthday party just gotta go. Check out the time.
But and I think the person actually that I found that would listen and was on the same wavelengths as like same range of frequency as me was my ex.
Nice.
And that was really what bonded us, is that
you were about in your early 20s.
I was 23.
Okay,
22,
so
23.
how refreshing to meet somebody who was open to talking
and a guy, so you can have the whole thing going on.
We can't talk to him know about the bad relationship stuff. He's the relationship.
He's the relationship, but I could talk about all the subjects that I really was yearning to talk about.
Nice.
And he was also the same. He didn't really have that thing. So he was full of knowledge and he would give me books and da-da-da-da. And he came from a Muslim background. So, but when stuff became serious between us, and I think I don't know if you've ever met people from like two different religions that were trying to get married, but everybody starts becoming way more religious all of a sudden.
Yes. That's when they
Christian,
bring
not so
that.
casual
It's
anymore.
not so casual
They bring
anymore.
the tools with us. Like,
And he was like super Muslim all of a sudden, you know, like yeah.
Things up.
yeah.
And it was all about like, so then we were getting, you know, on the serious subjects, and he was like, well, you know, you have to be Muslim, and so, and my parents didn't want him because he was Muslim, and his parents were like, oh, we don't really care, but like, you know, because
Romeo and Juliet, Beirut style.
Totally. It was a little bit like that, and I was
Forbidden love.
the forbidden love, the like, you know, like we're gonna.
That neighborhood, this neighborhood.
So silly.
And we literally, I eloped, you know, like that's
That would be
literally,
good.
wow.
yeah, that's what I
We
did.
talked about it last
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
But you know, the spiritual thing was always like part of my life, I guess, you know, but I was very, very isolated. And also that thing with my ex being him the only person, we isolated ourselves as well. So we found in
And
each
don't need
other,
anyone else.
we didn't need anybody else. So it was very like, you know, and then life started happening, the
That kind of
kids.
happens anyway in early relationships,
Yes.
especially young relationships. But when it's
Add
the
those
only when
layers.
you were craving someone to talk to, and he's craving someone to, like, let's
Yes.
really lock you in.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was really like, phew, you know. And then the kids came, so they took away a lot of the time to be even thinking about these things, right?
Well, but how do but that must affect the way you talk about things to your kids, right?
So that's the thing. The beauty about and what I honor and cherish about having had the relationship I've had with Rami, my ex, is that we were very much on the same page about raising our children in that woohoo talk, like, you know, about like, you know, divinities inside of you, you know, that voice inside is you know, the one you want to listen to. See, he was all on board with me being that kind of mom, you know, and he was not attached at that point anymore about like raising them in any religious way. So we raised them woohoo. Like,
nice.
we say woohoo because that's the term everybody understands. Like, it was spiritual, like buffet, you know, whatever was I was like swallowing at the time, you know. And also I did psychedelic very early.
Yeah,
like,
you were doing the
so I was in my early 20s when I started. I didn't do it continuously, but it opened up enough in my consciousness for the decades after that. The amount of information I think I took in was pretty intense, and it was only in like by the time I had my third child that the channeling came back in, and the, you know, extraterrestrial communications, the you know, everything took a whole other level.
You were ready for like,
but I think, and that's 10 years ago, and the next, and it was very hard at the beginning. Again, it felt very isolating again to be feeling all this, and then I became very hypersensitive myself, so I'll get
even
down with some
10 years
communication.
ago?
Yes, because it was on ice a little bit. Yeah, even 10 years ago.
Wow.
Because it was very intense, and still in my inner circle. No, it wasn't like 10 years ago. People were not like, yeah, I have a channeling about like an alien civilization. Everybody was like, we love you, Magda. We love you so much. You're awesome, but I can't join you there. You know.
Yeah.
I went to LA by myself to watch to assist to a channel panel. I was the only one. It was Rob Gauthier, Bashar. It was Wendy Kennedy, Nora Harrold, the Pleiadians. Wow. It was Daniel Scranton. Anyways, whatever.
I know nobody of these people. I have no idea who you're talking about.
You were channeling yourself. The other day you were fully channeling.
Crazy
that wouldn't surprise me, you know. Since I went there, that was like 10 years ago. Nobody, even the concept of channeling was still foreign to some people.
I didn't know the word channeling. Like, this is like, I'm just learning now this stuff.
It's still
for me, it was just like a lot of things happening at once so quickly, and I was like, how is my brain processing
And
this stuff?
You were verbalizing
I was
it.
talking, to you a lot. Like I started.
You should listen to channelings because I think that would like ignite something. Because if you there's no resistance. We're all channelers, and we all have a certain contract to fulfill. I believe when you do channel verbally and out loud, and you have that capacity to sort of communicate it, you first
you feel it energetically, and then to translate it.
Yes, it's a vibrational thought. Like the download is vibrational, and then the brain, the cortexes of the brain, sort of form the vocabulary, the language.
Quickly as it was coming in, she was saying, like, or you'd be quiet for a minute.
Yeah, because
and then
I was listening.
Her face would light up.
Listen, at some point, I was like this. It was like, see, like those computer where you see the numbers coming down. Like, yes, that's exactly how I was.
Felt.
Yes, I get it.
I've been there.
Our brain is so powerful that it can process all this information.
Well, they say we're an antenna.
Oh my God.
And so when the connection is clear, you're connecting.
I went to the bathroom. Like even the bathroom break was not a bathroom break. I was like, I'm peeing. I didn't know, like, can I please pause and pee? Yes.
Yeah.
You never had any time where you were agnostic or atheist, like, or you've always understood that there's more than we can see, that there is.
Yeah, I don't think there was a time where I was like, no, there's nothing else than this life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think and this is something you touched on the other day, but for me that period of time being atheist and agnostic was super important.
Yeah,
it was like a palate cleanser to kind of like
I get that.
Unwind all the stuff I'd learned,
unprogram,
break away from it, and so that when I was ready to open up again, I wasn't bringing along a lot of that other that I didn't, and I think it's for good. It was a good reason. It's a logical thing to reject those forms of organization.
Yes,
there's a lot to not like.
Not
and now that I'm like, where I am at now, where this idea of like eternal hell and punishment and fear. It's like, it's a good thing I pushed against that.
Because for me, like, it was just fear. Everything we do is just because you are fearful. You're not a good person. Like, that's how they told you. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to go. So, like, people, when they do a good thing, it's like they say, well, this is for God. Like, because God told us to. But inherently, you're not a good human being. Like, if God was not there to tell you you're going to go to hell, you would not do it because not like slaughtering people or like raping kids or whatever. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, no, you're good because you're doing good.
But I think for some people, there was a time, and maybe for some people still, they do need that fear of God to keep them from raping and murdering and whatever. You know, like, so there is like a organized religion or that. I think it did raise consciousness to a certain point. Yeah. But now some of us are popping out of it and we're like, okay, this is like kindergarten. Let's go to second grade for a little while.
Let's graduate.
We don't need to. We can have a more nuanced understanding of what divinity is and that it's not outside of us. We are, God is living through us. Like, we are God experiencing itself. Like some people, when I try to say that around my parents, are like, but at some level they do understand it because there are verses in the Bible, where I can't think of any of them now. So like at one level they would like accept that, but there is another part of them like it's very heretical. The things I'm saying. So. But it's okay. We still talk to one another, and we have some good conversations when I go back to visit. It's gonna be good for you to go back.
I don't want to go back. I have nothing to tell them anymore.
But your children are open. Both of you, your kids are open to like what you share now.
They don't hear it. I think they find it a little crazy.
Yeah, my oldest son would think he's
still very logical.
He's very logical.
He's very
logical, and he has his arguments that like make sense, But I don't talk to him about like. I don't care. At some point, he's a good person. That's all that matters to me,
Yeah, of course.
He's not a bad person. So if that's the way he has his principles, and he's a moral person, and he's a really good person. So for me, he achieved a lot of good things without having to go into that spiritual
he's
journey.
24.
And he's 24.
I mean,
but he has a lot of like wisdom for a 24-year-old. So I'm happy with. I don't have to convince him of anything.
No.
I don't feel the need,
right?
Because for me, he's happy,
yeah,
and he's healthy, and he's doing good with his life. So but yesterday I was just talking, like the day before, I was just talking to him. I was like, well, I'm always joking, so they know that I'm just
you mask
goofball. Yeah, I'm masking with like humor. I was like, okay, a big thing is gonna happen, and the challenge is like, oh yeah, the apocalypse, and I'm like, yes,
that's one word for it.
He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to get ready for it. I'm like, we're ready for it. He's like, no, I need to learn. Like, we need to go to the woods and prepare the bunker and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, good. I have somebody with me.
Yeah.
But
he's 24.
Yeah.
And one of the big lessons, and it took me maybe a year and a half 2 years, but it's not our job to tell anyone else how to think about anything.
No.
And you just do the work on yourself.
Yeah, but at least what I'm happy with, he doesn't drink alcohol and he doesn't smoke. So for me, that's the biggest thing for his generation.
Yeah.
Like all his friends drink, well, most of them. He has some Muslim friends who don't drink alcohol, but like, yeah, and he's not interested. So for me, that's one thing that's really I'm proud of.
Fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
No, that's the thing. All this stuff is going to become clearer and clearer, and it's when you're ready to understand it is when it's going to happen. Like you can't force it. I was, having these revelations and telling people about it, and they just look like I ended up looking crazy. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And you hear that all the time. It's like, if you're hearing these channelings and they resonate with you, that's because you're ready to hear it. But there's a lot of people who are going to hear this and they're going to think this is wacko.
Yeah, like if you came to me and you told me all this stuff before I did mushrooms, I was going to be like, again, this...
Yeah.
How can you just be this intelligent person and talk like this? Like, for me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But when my brain or whatever is telling me this stuff, like, I cannot run away from it, like, because...
It's resonating with you.
Yeah, it's like something is bigger than me telling me these things. So
and it's one of those things like I can't scientifically prove to you this has happened.
Yes,
I can't. If we want to have an argument about logic, you're gonna win. That's fine. But I know what I felt, and I know what's real to me. And my job isn't to convince you, but I'm not gonna like back away from what happened to me because I don't have the tools to measure the vibrations or whatever. Just because we don't have the tools today doesn't mean in the future.
Because maybe we still don't know a lot of things.
Well, we do. That's the thing. I mean, I think it could I know that it can scientifically be proven now when someone is they have done this to channelers. They have put
aluminum foil.
They have checked the antennas.
No, they have for the brain
because it's electric. Our brain is electricity. Everything's energy. Our heart is full of energy.
So you see the person, and they can measure the waves of the brain. That the brain alpha, the brain is emitting a certain frequencies, and the channeler is very vocal, very much. There's like you could tell, like articulate, moving their body. However,
very clear.
Their brainwave is in a sleep state.
Really?
When they're channeling.
Neat.
So that proves that something there is happening.
Yeah. No, it's interesting when you hear channelers channeling, it comes through very clearly, very succinctly, and then that same person, when they're not in a channeled state, you hear them speaking, but it's not. You can hear the same voice, but you
can discern.
It's like even that same person in a channeled state versus a non-channeled state, and they're speaking. They're lovely people speaking intelligently, but it's not. This
is how I felt on Monday. I felt like the way I talked is when I didn't have that. It's like kind of a 2-person thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I went back to my sense and I'm like questioning. I'm like, is that me? Or I start like really having kind of, what is happening? Like, is this, like, how come I am thinking this? Like, I'm trying to make sense of all of it. And I don't know. Like, it's a lot.
It is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
When
and I was like, I'm starting like, this is crazy. Like, what is happening? Like, this is not me. Who's talking to me? Somebody's talking to me. Like, it's just weird.
Keep going, and you'll start seeing that what's talking to you is your higher self is talking to you.
It could be also a communication. I mean,
totally.
Because the way she was sharing some of the things said, you know, and for me, I mean, I don't know. You'll have to check it. But the resonance was
like you. Somebody's like talking. I mean, it's not
family.
Like me or I will. No, you and we are. Sorry for what happened to you. Like,
it was very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very like a star, like your guides or whatever, like your star family connection, you know, so like the portion of your tribe that's invested in this incarnation. But then again, if you didn't believe in incarnation,
but now I'm open because I've heard messages about reincarnation as well. Like, you've lived before, you're an old soul, and you're gonna live after, and this limited lifetime is just for you to do the stuff that needs to be done.
Like you were the place where you were born was very specific. And leaving was very specific. Like, was all part of your plan.
Yeah.
And even like this plan and meant to be, I never believed in this stuff. Like when they say, "Oh, this is meant to be,"
really.
I swear, I was like, no, it's just coincidence. Everything is a coincidence.
No such
now I'm starting to feel like,
it
was meant to be.
It was meant to be. The beauty of the design. See, when and that's, I think, what was amazing with a big dose of mushrooms, who I believe are the ultimate teachers. But there are many plants. Different, yes, that
different podcast.
Different podcast altogether. But with a higher dose, with this like unity consciousness, it's like, you know, you can't. I don't know. It's like once you see it, once you feel it, once you feel your consciousness. Not like what it used to be, like the grounded, like you see is this, like there's only that 3D reality is that observe, like what you observe is reality, and there's nothing outside of this. Once you get a peak, I think, and mushrooms are very good at giving you peaks like that, you can't go back. It's like you've opened Pandora's box.
No, it's like you've aged. It's like once you're 30, you can't be 18 again. Like
that's a good way to put it.
Like it's for me, there's no way.
So how was your experience? You said you've had that experience of like feeling like, oh my God, you're getting a lot of downloads.
Yeah. No, my first big download was in August of 2021.
Okay.
And then that completely changed my life.
Right.
And then, there's been significant ones since. And now I kind of feel like even I don't need to be on any medicine or whatever. Like I'm just kind of tapped in all the time now. It's been fantastic. It's the timing was perfect. Like I think about like the version of myself 5 years ago who would have been seeing everything going on in the world, and I would have been terrified and freaked out, and I need a bunker. Oh, I got to get out. Okay, what, do I need to learn how to use a gun? Like, and now it's just like, I'm going to be fine. Like, I know that whatever happens is good. This is all meant to be. I can see the big picture. This has to, in order for the new stuff that I'm excited about being a part of growing in the future, just these old systems need to come down. And then does that mean our dollars don't have any value? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Like, I'm not afraid of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so grateful that it's interesting how going into it I'm grateful for that feeling, but it's because people are waking up that we are breaking down the old system. Like, one feeds into the other. So it's like, as my understanding is, as an antenna, fully connected, we're dissolving the heaviness, that those karmic obligations or whatever are gone. Like, so now that stuck energy that we've all kind of been in. As each of us wakes up, as each of us does the work, our auras or whatever you call it is melting, dissolving all around us. And so by the work we do, and more people are doing it, that's why we're seeing an acceleration of the systems coming down. It's like, it's not an accident that my waking up and other people waking up, and now it's just in time for the apocalypse. It's the waking up that's brought on the change. So the bringing down of the old and growing the new. So
there are no accidents. I realize now, I realize how I've been annoying people like for a long time.
When did you start finding? So you had Rami. And then when did you start finding people? I mean, we only met you not even a year ago.
Not even a year ago.
Around a year ago, maybe.
June. And September will
the
be
first
a
time
year.
I came, it was the first time. So we met at the same time.
You guys were at my house the first time.
The first time you were trying mushrooms. Yes. That was my first time coming here.
That's the first time I met her too.
Yes, first time. Yes.
But your energy was amazing. From the beginning, I was like, this person is amazing.
Me too. I felt
I
from
felt
the beginning, it was love at first sight.
Exactly. It was love at first sight with her and with you.
And I don't know if you guys agree, but it's been happening. This has been happening more and more. Where right away, I feel like I'm finding my people now.
Yes, and there is no time wasted.
No, it's
just like before. It's like clicking, you test people and like maybe, and then either you fall out of the friendship. But now it's just like it's like a full on.
You and me, we're good. I know we're good.
Well, that's the beauty of knowing yourself and being able to read people. Like you were so cute the other day. You were just looking around at people in the crowd, and you were seeing their dynamic. You were seeing, I know why that guy's attracted to that guy, or I can see why that girl's sad right now. Like you can see, you
can read the energy field,
higher viewpoint, and so you're just better when you're clear in yourself. It's like a superpower for reading other energies so much.
Again, mushrooms. I love mushrooms because they're here for a reason.
Seriously.
Like I believe. Do you guys know Terence McKenna?
I'm reading a lot about mushrooms now.
Do you know Terence McKenna?
You've been listening to some of his.
McKenna.
He's on YouTube.
He's like a reference in the psychedelic world, especially in mushrooms. And he has this evolution theory about the first Homo sapiens, like the first human, the way we evolved our consciousness, he believes is by eating mushrooms. That's how we became this intelligent. That's how our consciousness,
like that evolution we got from like animals to higher beings.
Yes, it's because we ate mushrooms that expanded a lot of things about consciousness.
Like mushrooms, they say they're good for your guts because they feed from everywhere.
Yes, with the mycelium network, which is all over the planet. And it's the oldest network in the world. It's the oldest network of the world, and it's the one that gives you life and takes away, decomposes life.
It's the way it connects other, like the trees and
the trees.
The mycelium connect or create. I mean, it's
fascinating.
I've been meeting more people, and I openly talk about mushrooms.
Me too.
Not legal.
Me too. And I'm not ashamed of talking about it.
Or people who are like our age or stuff, or maybe even a bit older, and they're like, I did that in I was younger, and they're like, I don't think it. But it's like to anyone listening to this, doing them in your 20s is very different than doing them in your 40s.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they say, we had bad experience. They don't know how to do it when they're really young, and they're not surrounded with. They don't feel safe. They're all just partying and maybe drinking and doing mushrooms or whatever. So they all most of them they had negative experiences.
But also at 20, what life have you had? What experiences? At 40, you've lost someone. You've been
married and
you've experienced there's just it's a much better time to be doing shadow work, to be bringing up things that may have unconsciously getting in your way. And I
also feel really confident talking about it because I've seen the change that happens in me
such a short period of time.
And people who I talked to, they've seen it as well. So they're they believe me. They really believe me,
You're
even though maybe they're not confident in to do it, but it's their choice. I'm not pushing the thing on anybody, but like when I tell them this is what happened and I'm not having anxiety, I don't have any fear anymore. It's so liberating. I'm just calm. It exudes so much positivity around me in my house, like it just zenitude, like at home. It's just we're all zen. Like even like when my kids get like a little, I start telling them there's no need. I'm becoming that like peace and love hippie mom. Like there's no need to talk about that like that.
Like mom.
Yesterday, when your car was hit by a semi-truck,
I didn't feel anything.
We just kind of laughed. It's like,
I didn't care at all. I said, I'm so glad we're not injured. That's the most important thing. Like, but I swear, before I would be screaming at the guy. A lot of anxiety. Like my day is over. I'd be thinking about it all night long. Like, why did this happen? Why did I should have done this. I shouldn't have done that. Like, and now I don't care. It's just a car. It's just a scratch. I don't care. Like seriously, it's just amazing.
No, it was really cool to see you so chill yesterday.
It's beautiful.
And then it allowed him to be chill, right?
Yes.
So you're just very. I mean, he wasn't the brightest guy, and he didn't know. But like you were both filling out the paperwork together, and at the end, you're like, "Have a good weekend." Like it was.
Yeah,
just like,
see you soon.
See you again. Or like never again. So by clearing out, like we think like, oh, this car accident made me mad.
Yeah.
But no, it's you have anger in you.
Yes.
And when something like that happens, it's an
ignites.
To get it out. Because if it's not in there, something bad, quote unquote, bad can happen to you, and you can react very calmly and very rationally. It's like I can see it's just confusing because you think like, oh, I was having a good day and then I got hit by this truck. But it's like no, that accident didn't put that in you. It was already there, and that became a way to express it. And then when it's not there, you don't. It's like, all right, have a good day, buddy. Oh, good. Insurance will handle this. It's all good.
Exactly. So that was, I don't know. It's just
that's amazing. And it's so exciting. It's exciting to see, really to have like, that's why I was so excited to talk about reincarnation, because I don't realize sometimes like, yeah, it's true. Because now you can talk about these subjects, not with everybody, no, but with a lot more people, and then to realize like how far like this we've come, all of us, we've all come from so far, especially anybody that's in their 40s. I mean, we were born into a very dense world. Jesus, right? So we've come like very you said, far.
I was alone in my experience in my family.
Yeah,
I was really alone all the time. Like all I could think about, like, I should leave. I have nobody who, like you said, nobody understood. I had these ideas that I wanted to share, but people used to call me silly all the time. Whenever I say something, oh, you're silly. Oh, you're silly. Oh, you're silly. Or like when I had a sense of justice as well. Like every time I see injustice, I would say it, or I try to defend it, and people get so angry at me for being like that. I was like, what is this? Like you can't survive in this environment where you're just being looked like down as, or admired for, like, because you're humorous and you're fun and you like to dance and you're full of life, but they take advantage of you for being like that. It was just weird the whole time. It was just not,
tough environment. Yeah, that culture is tough. The Arabic culture is tough, especially for women, I find, because also like you said, the being different, having different ideas or a different vision, whatever, also would be like, you're not intelligent, you know what I mean? Like, that's not smart, because how can you... I don't know, for women to be thinking outside the box is...
Or just thinking at all?
Well, no, this for me was not true, because at school, when I went to Catholic school, everybody talked to my mom and said, this kid is very smart. They talk to her, like she needs to do something more. Like they put me in a higher class because I was not learning things, so they put me. Academically,
no, socially.
Socially,
academically,
I know I was like
very intelligent.
Weird. I was weird and like not fit in the boxes that they.
But you know, like you're thought of as silly, like you know how you said that, like
because if I say like something really like. Just about love, they don't know what love is, and I was like,
she's a 4-year-old waxing on about love.
Yeah, I was talking about love, and like
love.
So is this not evidence of past lives?
Now I'm thinking about it, like a 4-year-old who is talking about love, or like, and then asking my mom is like. My mom was not she was a loving person, but not in touch, and she was caring. She was a caring mom. Like if you're sick, she will take care of you. She will feed you. She will do anything. But there is no "I love you." There is no hugs. There is no kiss. So sometimes I would go to her and I was like, "Mom, it's gonna sound really sad, but like." Mom, can you hug me? I love you? And she pushes me away, and she's like, oh my God, you're so silly. Yeah. Just go away. And no hugs, nothing.
My mom was a little bit like, she's not a big hugger either.
Yeah.
And it's all I knew.
But now they hug and they want to be loved, and this really, like the world is like upside down now. It's just.
It's weird. It's interesting. Yeah. So you didn't have an affectionate mom, and you didn't have an affectionate mom either.
No, my mom's really hard and
my mom is like that.
Tough. Yeah, and I think probably. I mean, obviously, I don't know the details, but obviously, she needed to develop that in order to survive whatever was part of her child.
Yeah.
Same.
It was a defense mechanism for sure. I remember she came to visit my mom and dad came to visit us in Montreal before I had kids, and we were driving them back to. We just spent a nice few days together, and we were driving them back to the airport. And I was sitting in the back seat with my mom, and I just went to like put my head on her shoulder, thinking like we could have a moment, and she just sat there, like she didn't do this. And so then I just had to come up, like it was just as awkward. But I had the same thing, like I was just kind of wanting that moment, and it just. She's just not that kind of person.
She doesn't have
now now we hug.
Yeah.
But even
I've always hugged my kids and told them I love you.
Like I love you to my mom. Yes. It's like a competition for her. It's like, well, I love you more. So it's like it's not. I get it. You're a mom. I love my kids more than they can love me. I get that. But like. Can I just say I love you, and you can just say I love you back, and that's it. But anyway, it's Mom, I did, but it is, I know that feeling where you want crazy. That connection.
I wanted that connection, and the funny part is like when we have guests, like my cousins or something, they're my age, and when they come home, my mom would hug them and kiss them. And I was just sitting there like,
so you do know how to hug.
And like she would hug them, and she's like, and she'd give them gifts and all that. I'm like, what is this nonsense? I swear, I would just sit there. And I don't understand what's happening.
That's confusing as a child.
Like, she does that with people who like
strangers,
relative, even like not really, like just a friend of hers who bring her kids. They all like get mwah, 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 or even worse, like my uncle, my dad's brother, I used to go visit them, like, and sometimes he sits and my cousin, she was always sitting next to him, and they would like hug, and I would just sit there and I was like envious. I was like, look at them. That's my dad's brother, and that's
you're looking at your dad, your uncle, and his daughter,
and they're sitting on the couch, and he's hugging her, and he's like playing with her. And I'm like, this happens somewhere else, but it doesn't happen in our house. Yes, it's like
even with your dad, he wasn't affectionate either.
My dad, he would let me sit and do this on him, but he doesn't.
He wouldn't go out of his way
I would play with his belly and stuff like that. I loved to play. He had like a big belly, boom, boom, boom. And I was like just playing with his belly. He was comfortable. Like he would start laughing and stuff, but he would not like hug me or say anything. He just let me do whatever.
But he wasn't taking the initiative to pull you in and give you a hug.
Never.
Yeah. How about your dad?
My dad's cool. My dad's a very gentle guy and very sweet.
Was he like physically affectionate?
Not too much. I don't know.
Have you ever seen your parents kiss or hug?
Yes, they did. Like every day, my dad. They were openly with each other. My dad. They were. Yes, that was nice.
I've never seen
was
them
really
touch
nice
each other. Even like when my dad used to travel for like a week and come back, they just say hi to each other. Like, and we're like jumping with dad and we're kissing him and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And we are waiting for her.
For them,
like for me, I was consciously waiting for her to do something.
And
She
you're
just
watching.
says, "Hi,
how are you? I hope your trip was good."
No,
Like,
not even. Like, no, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's too much.
Hey,
Get excited.
Don't change the narrative. It's crazy. Yeah.
As much as that there's that dynamic where we're with the cold moms.
Yeah.
I think I know a few people now, and I'm obviously not going to name names, but I think there's a blessing to that part, because you can have moms who are way more overbearing and in their daughter's life, and even when they've long since moved out, had kids of their own, whatever, they're still like dominant.
Yeah. No. My mom is not like that.
I see with these women, they're really struggling to grow, because there's this, and so as much as like I wanted that kind of connection with my mom, the upside to that is, like when she told me, "You're dead to me," and when I left, you know, like as much as that hurt, it did allow me the space to then really learn who I was.
Yeah.
Became, you know, like getting into that relationship with my now ex, and then becoming agnostic and atheist, whatever. Like, I don't know if my mom had been more hands-on, more like...
It would have been harder for you to let
that
go.
leash or that umbilical cord never fully cut. So there is an upside to having a mom who is kind of more remote like that. So just... It's for a reason. In the whole reincarnation conversation, I do believe we pick our parents.
Yes, I do.
I believe that we choose that thing, and so my soul knew the lessons I needed to learn in this. Part of that was having a mom where I didn't quite get that kind of energy. So I fully accept that, and I'm grateful to her for, you know, I was listening to Cry On, one of the channelers that I really have learned so much from. And it's an older channel. It's hard to know because they post them and I have not really.
At least 35 years.
They were saying like our parents came into this life knowing that they weren't going to fully ascend, but they knew they were doing their role to help us learn the skills we needed to get to be the cycle breakers, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, like, I mean, I've known that at some level, but it was just made me extra grateful for like, the fear our parents have, their need to stay small and whatever, like they chose that for themselves in order to create an environment so that their generation, their kids' generations could be the ones who had something to push against, something to grow from.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Good topic, babe.
Yeah. And that's preparing the terrain for a more fascinating topic where we can actually talk about like this new psychedelic revolution that's happening.
Yeah, I'm a product of that. You're a product of that.
I'm definitely full runner. I mean, but I could never, but I could definitely trace it back to the power of plant medicine. So great. In plants we trust.
Yes.
In plants we dress.
All flowers,
plants, and
All right. I love you,